Instacart pulls the order, sends it back. But when they pull the order, that's to swap the IP address. So that order is put on that IP address and that person has it. Then the law puts the order back in queue. Then you take the order. Now, in the process of doing that, two things are happening. The law is doing that to make the cancellation rate go up. And the second reason they're doing that is to swap those IP addresses, so you're consistently swapping with somebody else. So then I thought about that as soon as they did that and said, wait a minute, why did Wanda say she got deactivated from DoorDash? Even though it was a lie, what did she say? She said her cancellation rate was high. But Wanda never told me that she was canceling. She told me consistently on the phone that she took every order. Now, I know she works for the FBI, but I just want to hear what she had to say. So then I go back and say, okay, take that. Why did Instacart send you a notice the other day about your order, even though the lady was recorded on the phone saying you won't be affected for not delivering the order to the man on 444 Road? So the next you got looked like they made it problematic to make it look like you're canceling orders. So I was able to pull actually three things that the law is doing that. When I messaged the lady and said, well, what is the cancellation rate policy on why is it never going up or going down? She said, oh, it's just over time. Over how much time? Like every 50 orders, you get it reviewed. It go down. Like if I do DoorDash says every so many orders, your rate goes down. It'll go down in 30 days or down here. They don't have no time frame on none of this. So it's strictly discretionary, which opens the door for personal biases. So then I'm like, okay, that doesn't make any sense, which I already knew that. So I'm looking at the thing and saying it just stays at 11%, but how did it get to 11%? And they don't have any record of what you're canceling, so they can have something to go back and say, we base this off of this. So what are you basing it off of? And even if you cancel a batch, it should be in that app. Why? Because the law used the shopping experience on October the 4th, 2025 to make me shop the grocery for the man only to take pictures of that, but then you don't do the order because they knew she won't go to this address, which I would have went and dropped it off. It would have been right outside on the street, but I would have dropped it off. And so they didn't put the order there. They didn't put it there. So, I didn't deliver the order, but they still took pictures of you going in the store at that time. But we don't want her to go nowhere. But we want to use the fact that you shopped the order for this thing and then somebody else go to the address that is swapping out in the vehicle, because they made that event from August the 16th, 2025. They was making that over and over and over again. Every single part of that day is totally changed from the way that it originally happened. And I cannot stress that enough. That's why everything about that day has 0 views, 1 view, or no views at all. Why? Because everything about that day, they changed it from what I had on to when I went. They remade every part of that day over again in pieces. Every single bit of it. Yes, they did. And I seen them doing it when they was doing it, because I said, wait, this look like the man house. They're on the fence. They did every single part of it, because going up to that man's house, he only had a fence on, I think, the right side. Even if he didn't have a fence on the left, it didn't matter. Artificial intelligence, if it's on the right, they'll just add it to the left. They did that same fence over again at the house on Antioch Road. And they did the delivery. You didn't do the man's house. So on October the 4th. But the delivery right after that looks just like the man's house. Then you went to that area that morning. That man that was on the tractor doesn't look exactly like the man, but close enough. You could scruff him up, clean him up a little bit, because the man that was on that day was clean cut. That's how I knew this is not what it is, because he's too clean, too clean. So when I seen that, I said, they are making this over again, and I feel the same spirit out here. They was making it over. So nothing from that day is what they made it to be. Nothing. Why? Because that man is protecting himself. 2, Kroger is working with the man. 3, Instacart has to be a part of it, because that's their platform. 4, everybody is involved. Why? Because the man that placed the order has a device. Now, I already took that apart and didn't really want to talk about that no more, because it's already done on Sunday when I woke up and billed it October the 5th. It was done. I was done with it then, because Instacart is caught playing around with them online orders. You can take all of that junk apart. And so once you take it apart and find that phone, that's it. You have nothing else, because the IP address, whatever you're setting up and staging, has an electronic footprint. And once you take that apart and get to that, it doesn't matter about anything else. That you cannot change it and you cannot erase it. And at that point, it's so many people watching me when I go in the Kroger. If you're doing something that make no sense, you're just, I swear, you're wasting your time. I promise you are, because that's what I felt yesterday. These rich white men that got these private people looking. See, you can be looking at somebody all day long on electronic satellite, and nobody will ever know. That's why you never know who is watching you. These people have closed circuit satellite monitoring going on all day long around this entire world. And when people look at me and say, that girl is actually catching these people doing this to her. Look at what these people are doing to this girl. See, I know I am watched, because I can feel it. I know when I get on my phone. See, if I get on my phone right now and turn on Instacart, all of the people that are watching me is going to be on watching Instacart. That is going to make my phone run very, very slow. And it's going to start misbehaving. Why? Because too many people are accessing the network at that time. And these systems are huge. Plus the system that is being me is on there. And so it's making that run very slow. So imagine somebody, if you're running and somebody pulling your shirt and you trying to go, that is exactly what the computer is like in that aspect. That's the best analogy. So it's trying to go, but so many people are logging into it, it is running very slow. And it starts to slow down. That's why when you go in there and they say, well, we need to clear up some space on your phone, this, that, and the other. Now, clearing up some space on your phone does help it, but at the same time, when so many people are on your phone or using that network to access that device, it is going to make it get hot run fast and drain that battery, and it's going to make it run slow, and it's going to start to misbehave at some point because it's too many people on the phone. So, and the two systems are big. So YouTube is a big system, and so is Instacart. So if you make YouTube watch Instacart, that's huge. That's major. So I turn it on so that I can watch the glitches recorded, what it's doing. Now, when you get an Instacart order, your order should never say continue to check out when you first doing it. That started because these are orders that have already been shopped on devices that just have went through, and what they have done is Kroger have put them up, staged them, or just have went through and scanned each one and checked it off and then put it back in queue. So when you go in, it first says already checked out, and that just started when I got here. It was never doing that. That just started when I got here to Bowling Green. It never did that in Atlanta. If it did, maybe once, but that was never a thing. That started when I got up here. So when I seen that, I already knew that had something to do with the process of how these orders are being put together. So you do the order, the location is going where it's going, but the problem about Instacart is when Instacart put these orders together, it is just the system in short is basically taking the orders, and it's all about the area, and it's all about the money, and it's all about the time. All of that is orchestrated in the orders. I'm not getting regular orders as if they just come through the app. The amounts are strategic, the locations are, and the stores are. And so back to what I was saying, when it comes down to Instacart, they're really, I see the setup to it, I see the method to it, and it's garbage. And I promise it ain't going nowhere, because yesterday when I was out, I felt the energy of somebody on people, but mainly I felt God, because I was looking at OnStar again, and then I was saying, God is really gonna make something awesome, like something really good is gonna come out of this, because look at what is going on. And so, like for example, when I did Shoppers Connect, and so I thought about that, I was like, actually Shoppers Connect, Uber and all these platforms will want your system more than theirs. Why? Because you shouldn't be giving people cards. See, like I said before, the law wants me to go in Aldi's and swipe and put in a PIN, but no one is knowing that's an Instacart card in your hand. And who is to say that that Instacart card is not another bank card? We know that it has to be. It is impossible for it not to be. If every other card that you have is hyperlinked to another bank, it is only wisdom to know that Instacart is not just Instacart. So you need to be looking at if the last numbers on it is 0990, who else has that? And I think it's Joe. So who else has that number, and what bank is it? If every bank that you have or have had is hyperlinked. It is just ignorant to think that you have an Instacart card that is only going to Instacart. That is absurd. You're looking for what account. See, you don't know the account number to Instacart. That's bad. That's hidden, and that is always changing. So that's number one. You're missing a variable. You got the card, but you don't have the account number. Then two, Instacart is through what? A phone number. All right. Then you only have one account with Instacart, but they got it saying since 2023. We know that's wrong. We don't have to worry about fighting that right now. So Instacart, we know that it does not have the right variables in place. We don't see an IP address. We don't see a date on these orders. There's no time stamp on these orders. It just says due by 3/46. On what day? What day are we doing here? You know, this is a date. This is legal stuff. So when we go in and look at the policy, we go and look at the operation. We know the objective is for them to trick you to use an account that is not yours or that you don't have. And Instacart purposely says go in Aldi's and use this PIN number. Well, the first thing any court would say is, why are you issuing a PIN number on a card? Why do you want to do that? The law does that because at that time when you're in Aldi's, 100% of the robot would say, this is not what it is. Why? Because the operation wouldn't make sense. If MX plus Y equals B at Kroger, why would MX plus Y equals B not be at Aldi's? It is definitely going to be at Aldi's more than anything. Why? Because they're using a PIN. So that is the perfect opportunity to hyperlink yourself with the card that is green. Who has a green card? Regions Bank. Regions Bank went to Instacart in 2020. You don't have Regions Bank, but who does? Wanda. Who else does? The man with the dreads back in 2020. The black guy that was buying the cigarettes and boxes. So you have Regions Bank. You applied at Regions Bank, and Regions Bank went all the way through to the opening. Okay, it's going to be $50 to open the account. I said, all right, here you go. And the lady said, oh, I'm sorry. It came back. I don't know what happened. She was texting a little man, a black man, and he kept messaging her on the screen in Atlanta, Georgia in 2021. Out in, I think I was somewhere in maybe Marietta, somewhere, Sandy Springs, near there. I wrote it down. But they take you all the way through opening, and they're recording all of that. And they'll be saying, all right, so your opening deposit is going to be $50 today. And then I said, all right. And so I reached in there and got it. And then she said, oh, I'm sorry. And that's what they do. But they record you all the way up. Why? As soon as they do that, they give that account to somebody else. And they're texting that person because that person is opening the account on the phone or on the computer. And then they're going to say, let me send the link to you. And you just click right here. And when you click this link, it's going to go ahead. Yep. And you just sign your disclosures. They're going to do all of that to have you take in that account. And they're not going to be opening the phone on the bank computer. They're going to be opening the phone on their personal computer. and they're going to send you the link from their personal computer so that when you click on it, there's the FBI with that IP address. And you're going to click that. And when you click that and sign, oh my goodness, do you know what you just did? They're not sending you that from the bank computer, because the bank is going to tell the FBI. The FBI is going to say, you opened the bank account on the phone. See, that's the trick. That's why you never sign the disclosures in the bank. Why am I not signing on yours? And if you are, they're going to give you them little tablets. Why? Because that is detached from that bank. That bank don't want to have, they want to say in court, the white man is protecting himself. He want to say in court that it wasn't open on my computer. That's not my IP address. So they can say, we did not do that. That is the purpose of them saying, let me just go ahead and send you this link on this disclosure, and you just sign it on your phone, because they do not, at that time, at that very moment, the FBI is hovering over that phone like Jesus is when I call on his name and say, do you see this foolishness? How the Holy Spirit raises up and comes to my defense. That is exactly how the FBI is when you go to click that link. As soon as you click it, FBI is now present. They are involved. Why? We have a signature, a face, and an IP address, and we need to see where it's going. So as soon as you click that link that they send you to that phone and say, yep, just go ahead and click that. Did you receive the email? That's it. Click it. There's the FBI. We're here. You just invited us. Why? Because you have a link going to a bank, and we need to see what the IP address is, who sent it, what number it is, what identity is attached. Now that bank is going to say, let me just go ahead and you just sign everything. So, okay, so we got everything all done. And then as soon as you do that, they're going to say, oh, I'm sorry. What happened? I don't know. Everything was, I don't know. It came back. And they're going to say, I tell you what, we'll just call you later. And that they're not going to say anything else to you. You're not going to get anything in writing that you didn't get approved. Because they're going to, at that time, that your alter ego, your person that's being you, is going to, they take the possession of that account. They only needed you to go in there and sign for it. So then when they say that, oh, she has Alzheimer's and she's 85 and forgot, then they can say, well, we know that's true, because we have mx plus y equals b. We put the gas in the apartment, we did this, and we did all of these features to make this equation true. And so she forgot. And so, no, I didn't forget. You don't get the account. You just apply so that the male that's being you or the female that's being you can have it. But 9 times out of 10, these are accounts that they already had established, and you're just getting them now. You're just getting them or signing for them, but they already had them. Back when the person, so you have to listen to everything that the person is saying around you and what that person is doing. You're going to get that card when they get done. And so you'll sign for it. Even if you don't get approved, just go apply. All we need is an application. And then once they get the application, all right, we've got done with that. The other person done already been you. So when it comes down to Instacart, when you go in Aldi's, this is guaranteed. See, they did 3 in 1 yesterday. 3 transactions. They was working fast yesterday. Let's get this done. And you get nothing done because it ain't going nowhere. It's garbage. Why? Because you're doing too much too fast to put it together, but you're putting it together. As long as I could tear that IP address apart, I don't have anything to worry about. That's why God woke me up with it on Sunday. The manipulation can't go beyond the IP address. Why? Because that is the identification. So when it changes, even if you were to say, because I imagine the FBI will say this, those IP addresses is changing that much because those are the different agents that's watching her phone when she go out. Even better. Even better. If they was to come back and say that, even better. That meant that you was right there all along and knew that I was doing nothing wrong. Even if they were to come back and say that, well, those are our IP addresses. Every time she went out, we split her SIM card. That's even better. That's even better, and that's even more of what I said. But that's not what is happening. That is going to get the FBI in trouble because now, if you wanted to say that, that's still going to get you in trouble because that means that you saw crime and you didn't protect me. So that's not going to work because that is going to put them in a position of liability because you saw something and you didn't protect me. And if you saw the IP, then you saw the willful intent, then you saw the threats, then you saw all the, and that is just going to spiral out of control. So that's not going to work. So even they can't come back and say we didn't see it because they're the FBI, they see everything electronic, so they can't come back and say that either. So the IP addresses that are associated with Instacart look at the consistent behavior. When you see that Instacart blacks out Google timeline, then we already know we're in a location stage. We know that the time and the date has changed, and we know that the Gmail has changed and the phone because or what is going on at the time of drop off that this information is not recorded. So when you take that in a court, nobody is going to believe the defense at that time because why is her Instacart orders not recorded on Google Timeline? If she went and dropped off an order, why is it not there? Because that device is swapped. Now, if you ever notice, when I get to a Google drop-off or a timeline, some devices won't interact. Like, for example, if I was to be on the phone with Gwanda and go to Nico's house, Gwanda is not going to stay on the phone. Why? Because these are two devices in the same plan. We sharing energy to be you. I can't be on the phone with Nico. That's why I said, I'll call you back. I gotta go. I got something to do. Because them two devices can't meet. Because we're both being you. So it's like, you can't talk to you here and can't talk to you here. So them two people can't be on the phone. Gwanda and Easter can't talk to me together on the phone. Why? Because we both being you. So but Carrie and Easter can talk to me. Why? Because that's a male. So you're swapping into a male. But Gwanda and Easter is both female, the same. So they can't talk to me together. That's why the law don't really have us all together at once, especially if it's a device involved. Why? This is all different versions of you. So that can't happen. So when it comes down to Instacart, when it comes down to what's going on, yesterday when I went out, I felt this is gonna come into something extremely awesome. And I felt that yesterday because these people are saying that I'm smart, that God has made me smart. Because look at the software on OnStar. That is not the right software to go with this car. That is the software that was on the Chevrolet in 2016. All right, put that to the side. What else is wrong with this? Well, I know I don't have an IP address, no MAC address. I don't have any variables. I don't have no numbers to this. I just see that stuff say connected. But is it possible, because Easter say she in the car every time you are, right? Right. And even if she's working, somebody else's device is driving when you drive, right? Right. So is it possible for Instacart to have that New York number or that number from over there on OnStar's account? Okay, come on with it. I'm listening. Bring it forward. And you download it. Look at that. What? Say it again. Okay, take your IP address on your phone. Right. When you look at that IP address, you're looking at the IP address to your alternate SIM. And the court says, okay, so you take that SIM card, okay, that IP address, yep, that go to a phone number, correct? Absolutely. You take the phone number and you put it on what? OnStar. Ooh. Oh, Jesus. Look at that. And what do you got? Lo and behold, that whole screen. And the court says, that's it. Them people that order in the court. Them people is hollering. Ooh. Look at how you can set. Oh, that's brilliant. They did what? Yeah, you gotta connect it. Cause it gotta be connected through the car. Why? Because you're getting directions. So when you call OnStar, thank you for calling OnStar. This is Sierra. I bet it is. Give me your device number, please, and your IP address. That's why the lady said, I'll gladly stay on the phone with you. I bet you would. And that's why when they came back and they re-recorded August the 16th over again, they had to take OnStar out. Touchdown. Okay, why? Let's walk back through this again. OnStar works through what? A phone. The phone goes to what? Your Bluetooth connection. So when you connect, ding, 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 all they need now, they got you with audio, visual, and they giving you the directions. And all I had to do was think about, where would the FBI be? Where would Daddy be at? Daddy is always at the highest point of every internet access point. That is who he is, like lawfully. Like no BS involved. That's his job. So where is the highest point? If you're traveling, where is your access point? It's your car. So once I seen it's the car, where is the manipulation? That's all he needed to ask me. Where is the manipulation? I'll find it because I'm the robot. So when he said, where's the manipulation? I'll find it. I got it. It's in OnStar. It's the connection, and it's the software, and it's the vehicle. And they messed up. They messed up. That's why they're Buick. I said, wait a minute. I'm a robot. Wait a minute. All I gotta do is find the manipulation. That's all I do all day. I look for manipulation. Where is it? It's in OnStar. Because OnStar is what solidifies the phone, the internet. That's why sometimes it's on and sometimes it's not. No further questions. That was it. That's all I needed to do. And once I did that, I had it. I went to bed. I was laying there last night saying, no, that ain't right. Why? It ain't got no numbers on it. It ain't got nothing identifying nothing. That's illegal. Why? Because that is not giving that customer, that is admissible evidence in a court that comes from OnStar. Why? Because OnStar working as a responsive system. So just like 911, all of that stuff with OnStar, that is all government data. So when it comes down to OnStar giving out information, you wouldn't be sabotaging this information, would you? Because this is, all your stuff is directly data that pulls to go to court. So when it comes down to it, on August the 16th, that lady being on the phone, what phone was you on? What IP address are you talking to? Because when you call, all you doing is calling who? Oh, look at how beautiful God made it. When you call OnStar, them people at home, score, touchdown. That's why you getting all these alerts. That's why they keep texting and messaging. That's why she said, thank you for calling OnStar. This is Sierra. I bet it is. Give me your IP address. I'm gonna tell the FBI. Why? Because I'm calling the phone on the Instacart order. Score. Always score. Even if you're not calling the one on the Instacart order, you're still calling the phone that is connected to you at that time. Why? Because MX plus Y equals B. They don't need an extra device in there. Only the devices that are used at that equation. So you're not going to be just at random calling Nico's device. We don't need an extra device in here. You're only going to be using the device that is needed to complete MX plus Y equals B. Oh, so when you go and do the equation, your equation, MX plus Y, if we're solving for X in an algebraic equation, we're looking at X equals the device. X is your IP address. So we're solving for X. What is the IP address? Once we find that, it has to present itself. So we look for it. We find the manipulation and we look for the IP address. And that's what makes me brilliant. That's what God made me brilliant. It's brilliant what I'm doing. Why? Because OnStar is not giving me enough information. Why? Because the information that they know is inconsistent data. And I'm going to track them down with that. And because they withheld it, it's everything that I need to know. What is the IP address to this Wi-Fi? And I need to see if that is changing every day. Is that the IP address to this number that is going to this account. See, all of those numbers this is all data that the FBI has that they look at every day. They are strictly digital. So the FBI looks at this IP address and says that IP address don't go to that car. It go to the Buick. That's why you keep saying this Buick Encore around you. Where else is that Buick Encore? Is it parked over there at 372? Or is that a light vehicle? See, your account keeps saying you somewhere that you're not. You got to pay this attention. So what system is installed on your vehicle? It's the same thing as your phone. Now, what we have is if the phone equals the TV and the TV is the computer, then your computer is the car. Once you know how to connect all four of those, I can sit right next to the FBI every time. Why? Because I'm looking, where's Daddy at? Where's the highest point of access? That's where he is. Where is my highest point of access when I leave home? It's my car. That's where he is. Once I see where he is, where's the manipulation? Once I find that, I'm looking for the IP address. If he hid that from me, that's what I need. And it's done from there. So when you talk to somebody on the phone, you're not talking to the person you're talking to on the phone. That's why the last 2 days it has said connected to Bluetooth, but I'm not. So when it goes in and out and they say, yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me? They're doing that on purpose. And the connection is faulty. So once I seen that, so OnStar changes the number, the account information, the software to it is not accurate. But the real manipulation is coming from the data. So basically, when you get into your car, you're rolling next to that's so bad. You're rolling. That's why in 2018, when I was here in 2019, I said they had a black Chevrolet Malibu on the road next to me with a Florida tag. So you're you're swapping them out when you're on the road and you're receiving, man, you're doing that in the car and the phone, and when you just on the phone talking, you just talking into the other device, and the lady is saying, yeah, and I'll stay on the phone with you. Yeah, this is Sierra. I bet it is Sierra. It's her device. And Andy and Scott and all of those agent devices. Good night. Slam dunk. Swoosh. And you won. OnStar. Keeping them connected. That's what it is. And take what they said, keeping them connected. I bet you was keeping them connected. So then what does that mean? Once that happens, and the Supreme Court hear about that, they're going to make the feds change the regulations for it. And these cars are going to have their own personal POS systems. Why? They ain't got no other choice. Or you're going to have to make that available to the customer for them to decide. Because that is evidence that goes to court in the event of anything happening in that car. That data has to be all sides truthful. It cannot have any manipulation to it. So if a and you can install it on your phone. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. You can install that on your phone. Jesus. 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 Oh, in the name of Jesus. All right. So I wanted that on the beginning of this video. I was on Facebook Live on the LG stylophone and it cut off at a certain time. So I'm going to go back and see what happened when I let me see. Okay, so you could like literally see that somebody cut it off. Okay, so um all right, so tonight what I want to do is I want to elaborate on my video and then I'm making my decision on what I'm going to do. I am going to move from here because, like my sister said, this is not the will of God for my life. And I mean, honestly, I have tore it up so bad here that it's just no point in staying. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been the most, the law calls it humble. I haven't been that. And I'm still very vocal about the situation. And I feel that the best thing for everybody is for me to leave. And that is because the more I encounter law enforcement, the more traumatized. And that is why I keep talking. So if I leave and don't have anything to interact with them on, then I'm not traumatizing myself. And plus, I really don't want to be here in this apartment with these witches in this building, the Wi-Fi swapping with these Mexicans, and the guy that looked like ketchup, the bill. I just don't want to keep doing all this. And Vonna got the same car. I don't want to keep doing this because at the end of the day, my health is most important. And I want to be in fresh air where I can control my sleep and my air. And so I go back or go wherever I'm going to go. And if I sleep during the day, then I'm up at night and my health stays intact. But being somewhere trying to live normal and sleeping at night and just having somebody bother me, I don't want to do that. I want to go somewhere where I could control those two, what I eat and where I sleep, and I can take care of myself. Um, that is my main objective of why I really want to leave. Because every day that I've been here, it's been consistent with something hurting every morning. And as long as I stay up, nothing's wrong. But when I go to sleep and wake up, something is not right. And then the consistency of bothering the TV and turning off Wi-Fi, and I don't want to keep doing this and just injuring myself when you see that somebody ain't gonna stop. They just gonna keep doing it and making up narratives that are not true. For example, racial organizations. That narrative was created in 2020, when I first got called a monkey, and the law seen it and just covered it. That is, cut it out. They just come up with stuff that sounds good. At the end of the day, this is the law that is behind this. And if the FBI just wants to keep going on with this false narrative they have recently created, then you're just making yourself look bad. Because if you're not responsible for this, then why haven't you stepped in? You're the one that was getting sued along with the Internal Revenue Service in 2020 when I first filed the complaint, and you did not respond. You didn't respond in 2021. You didn't respond in 2022. You didn't respond in 2023. And you didn't respond in 2024. Has there not consistently been a federal complaint filed, at least one, every year? Of course it has. Every year. And that information is in my storage. Every year you have filed a complaint. And every year your life takes on a financial decline that has left you in financial ruins. So at the end of the day, I'm going to speak from what I know. Getting the apartment was so that you can come here and redo the times. That's why this apartment across the street, 372, has not been rented. It is consistent that we are putting you in situations where there are Mexicans, vehicles, jobs, information, gassing you, poisoning you to mess up your mind so that you look like you're older than what you are, and it look like you got Alzheimer's, cancer, sarcoidosis of the brain, different false diseases, including AIDS. So at the end of the day, I want to go back to my storage. I want to go get me an AIDS test. I want to go get myself back around my black culture, even though it's not welcoming. I don't care. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about Atlanta and Marta and none of that. I'm not worried about that. I want to get somewhere where I can control my air. Where if I go to sleep, I don't feel like I'm in surgery. I want to go get me an alarm clock, old fashioned, wind it up. I want to go get that so that can't be cut off so I can see what time it is. I want to time check my date on my receipt when I leave the store and build my time from there. I want to eat and drink water from different places so I don't have to worry about, am I going to bleed out of my ass on the 21st, or if I'm going to have this. And I want to be up at night so that I can see, and I want to sleep during the day. I'm not worried about getting a job anytime soon. I promise you I'm not. Even though I got a car note, I'm giving myself plenty of time just to sleep and rest, and I don't want to talk. I probably will just be quiet on my lives once I get back living in my car. Why? Because I don't want this game with OnStar, seeing how evil that is, and going back to link it. When I was listening to that, I said in 2018 at Ketchup's mama's house in July, Kiva called me on the OnStar, and the OnStar lady had an attitude with me, and she hung up in my face. That was Kiva on the phone. I know her voice. So OnStar puts the devices on your phone. They put the device, the number on the OnStar account. Enroll it. Do you know what that does? Do you know what that does and how brilliant that is that I was able to find that out? So OnStar takes the device of the swapper and put it on the account and roll it over the speaker, which is why you keep seeing your car next to you. So when you're out and that person is doing DoorDash and you're going in the area, that's why your Google is not S. And that's why I want to go home. I want too bad to be in this environment. I don't want to be here anymore. And if it was never clear, it's clear now. I want to go home. I don't want to play anymore. Why? Because they play dirty here, like they put on TV. The lady said today, I need a 30-day notice. You're not getting one. Because my safety is top priority. And you're building an eviction to go along with the rent that Toya owes. So we're not doing that. I'm going to move and I'm going to leave, and I'm not worried about having a job here because I don't want to work in nobody's plant in a box all day. And number two, I don't want to be in the environment anymore. And it's probably as soon as I leave, they will call and say, you got the job. You can start Monday. I'm not worried about that. I'm not going to feel bad about it because I'm living in a situation that is nobody would believe, nobody can comprehend this kind of sabotage but the FBI. That's why I'm government. I know that. Nobody can put this together like this but an IT person or government. Nobody can. And you were able to detect that? Yeah, because I'm a robot. I only look for manipulation. Wherever there is manipulation, even if it hasn't occurred yet, I will find it. Because that's my job. That's what I do. That's what I want to do. So, in this, because OnStar is nothing but a system. That's all it is. It's a phone on wheels. So if it's a phone on wheels, what does that mean? That means that it is connected to a phone number, obviously, because it's a phone, a SIM, audio, and visual. That's why they just be saying on OnStar, yeah, just so go a little further, just keep going. They don't ever give date, like city and state. So when you get the vehicle, the address, and it just say, um, go to Hillen Street, and it ain't got no city and state, that's cause they blending it. Or it just say you have arrived to the street, and it don't give you the address, cause they're blending it with what somebody else has done. It's the ultimate brilliant crime. It's absolutely amazing. So what they did was, if they say she's doing Instacart and we're gonna have the Mexican doing DoorDash, and so you give her an order for Kroger for $12.43, and you get the order for Uber Eats for $12.34, and we're going to Kroger $12.43, 3.4 miles, and DoorDash 3.9 miles. All OnStar needs to do is pull that data from the tower that links your vehicle in there. At your point of drop off, that person has already dropped off. So they're going to cause you to get an alert. So when you go to put your face on that phone, oh, it's beautiful. It's brilliant. It is brilliant what they did. But they're so caught with it. So they took that, and that data, when they swap that SIM out, that's why at your drop-offs is never, oh, that's why at the drop-off it's never located. Why? Because you're swapped at that time. Because that person is dropping off DoorDash or Uber Eats or Lyft or Uber, whatever they're doing, it is income based. So that person is swapped out at that time. So when that person is swapped out, that's why they make sure you see them. Because we gotta pass. We gotta swap. So they must show themselves. And they will always be coming from your opposite, because we have to stage 2 in the same area. One for me and one for you. So you go to Penelope Street, and she's going to Hillen Street. She got $12.43 and you got $12.34. Take her tip down 11 cents. Or what is it? $12.34 for 9 cents. This is why you see these strange deductions and tips for 26 cents. Why you take somebody tip down 26 cents? Because I need to match you with the DoorDash order. Score. I work for the FBI. I work for the law. So what does that mean? What are we creating here? Well, we're going green. We're definitely doing that. And what that means is, now that we have all that in place, that means that Granddaddy is definitely going to say, he already sent me a message tonight. He is definitely going to be like, I love her. She is just awesome sauce. He might get mad, but I haven't said anything about banks. So he's not going to trip too much. But, because he don't care about nothing but the bank. Now if I added the bank to OnStar, which he does know that the bank is attached to OnStar. They have to be, because the phone is attached to OnStar that I'm swapping with. So he knows that the bank is there. I'm just not going to say anything about it. I'm just leave that to the side, because if I build that all the way out, the court gonna say, I'm gonna leave that where it's at, because when they did that refund to 2199, that's where they messed up. They messed up with that. That's a mistake. Why? Because 2199 is hyperlinked to California disability benefits. There you go with that. So that's why California is consistently involved because they have a card. Hot 2199 is hyperlinked by the address to California. Good night. And then Money Network and then Bank of America. But I said I wasn't going to do it, so I'm not going to tear it up. But OnStar, I said it in 2018 in July. I wrote it down and I said it. I said, Kiva called me on OnStar. She was on OnStar, Catch Up. And Catch Up said, babe, she couldn't have been on. Yes, she was. He was making me feel like I was crazy. And I was right all along. She on your car in OnStar, boo-boo, because that is the phone number to your car. Every time you get in there, you swap. I love it. I love it. The FBI is sitting there saying, Crystal is smart. Crystal is brilliant. The Lord may be brilliant because the Lord don't like foolishness. So I want to move. I want to go back home and I want to sue Instacart because I don't want to sue Instacart because I don't want to sue them here because I dreamed that the white man said, not in my court. And I don't know if that would actually be the case because I honestly feel like Bowling Green is not racist, but the fact that it is predominantly white, I can't get a job here. And I did not get a job in 2018 and 2020. I was aggravated. So, and being that they have just done so much, I mean, they have done so much in so little bit of time. And that's, every, you know, state does the same thing. I'm not thrilled about going back to Georgia, and I'm not saying that I'm going back to Georgia to stay. Am I going back there to check on my stuff in my storage? Yeah, I miss all of my evidence. I want to lay eyes on it and see what all they have done since I've been up here. I want to see my stuff. I miss it. I literally miss it. I wish I would have brought it here so I can just look at it all day and play with it and look at my tapes and all of that stuff. But at the same time, taking that stuff out of storage causes me to be vulnerable because the law will take it. Um, they do not want me to have it. I mean, it's been a process this entire time. When they got those SD cards from me, I mean, my heart it sank, and I had to tell myself, if you would have went to jail, they would have had them. You were gonna have to let them go at some time. That was just my pride and joy when they got those SD cards. I didn't know what to do. I felt like I had lost myself. I went and got in the tub in the shower that night at the guy's house at the MXB thing down there by MARTA headquarters, and I just said, "Oh my God, they took him! They took him! They took him!" They did, and I just cried. I mean, I was just, I don't know. I felt so lost. I felt so lost that day. I mean, I literally did. That was so many years of me recording and so much evidence. And so when they took him, the white man said jackpot. They knew it. They had it. The law got him. I don't worry about them because the law has those, and I know they do because they started sending me stuff from the videos. So they have them, and they was going back through them all. I mean, that was a lot of SD cards they had to play, a lot of man hours that they had to go back in looking at times that those SD cards were edited. at night. And so they have a lot, a lot of 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 evidence, and that is because, truthfully, when they took them, there was some. It's always somebody that is wanting to know what is going on. Where is the truth in this? Because they know I'm not lying. When I mention gas, they already know she's not lying. Because don't nobody know we do that. So when I mention gas, they know she's not lying. So when I get to saying other stuff, they know already. They know. And so they, when I went to California, and they said, "Let me see what all is in there." And so when they looked at all that evidence, they was like, "What is this girl doing? I'm I'm recording myself for this foolishness that y'all did." So everybody has had a visual of those SD cards, and everybody know what's on them. Like everybody would ask, "What is on them?" Law enforcement, abuse, my phone, the screen, where I'm at, what I'm saying, what I'm doing. And so when they got him in 2023, it was like a part of me. I cried. But I said, I'll get him back. When I win, the FBI will give him back. Because I know they got him. I know they have them because they had to. I'm telling you, somebody had to see what all is truthful. So coming back to this with OnStar, I mean, it took a very long time, but I'm blessed that I won't leave here owing no money, and that I had a chance to see what it felt like, and it was miserable. And so when I go back to living in somewhere in my car, I will not feel bad. I will not miss this place at all. Why? Because I was miserable here. I didn't cook. I didn't decorate nothing. I didn't. I didn't. It was miserable. It was not like when I first moved in with Joe at 1517 Bethesda Road, and I moved in over there into that room for rent, and I was happy to have a bed. I have never slept in the bed. I have never decorated anything. I did when I moved in here. It was whether the energy came from the police or not. It was the energy that they put over the place of, you only gonna be here for a certain amount of time, and we're gonna evict you out, whether we make you lose your job or we fish you out with threats. But it's only gonna be here for, you're only gonna be here for a certain amount of time, and then if the more you talk, the shorter that time limit is. And so I didn't. I thought I could live within that mentality. I thought I could survive, that I wanted to survive, and that I wanted to be submissive enough to abide by the rules. But I can't do that. I can't live in this situation and not write and not go live. And that is what they want me to do. And I'm just not going to do that. I'm just not. This is my only way of venting. It is the only thing that I can do. I can't call my sister and say everything I want to say. I couldn't even say it in the rent office just now. I really couldn't say, I want to go because you're my problem. I had to say, it's the Instacart, because I had to be smart, because that is verifiable, and that will let me out of my lease, because I have a verified security issue with somebody stalking me. I documented it. So any lease person will let me out. I really don't even have to worry about asking her for a lease breaking fee. They will automatically let me out. You have a documented thing, somebody stalking you. We understand. We're going to let you out. That goes into your clauses. So I'll owe for the portion amount of days that I was here, break my lease, and I'm gone. I'm out. Deuces. But getting into the other part, I don't really want to do all of that. Why? Because of the simple fact I don't want to divulge so much information about the vehicles, about 372, about the girl across, about the dude, about the Mexicans, about the Hyundai Sonata, about the little van. I don't want to do all of that. I just rather go and write it in my notebook. Use what I can, get that done, and I'll be out. I got a stalker, and I don't want to be here. And he made that very easy for me. So for that, I'm grateful. I just didn't want to get evicted. And I didn't want to have nothing on my credit. So if I move and leave here, good, leave me alone. I can get back on my feet because I don't want all the responsibilities of this foolishness as far as with, oh, you got to do this and you got to do that. I don't want to do all of that. I don't want to do that. I will not miss not having a place to stay. Why? Because I've been homeless for 5 years. And I don't want to keep going to sleep. And they play games when they keep showing Michael Jackson. And you just lay there. And the only person that they let play all night is Joyce Meyer. Why is that? That's crazy. They turn off everybody else, but they let Joyce Meyer play all night. I just don't have time for it. I don't want to play the game anymore. I don't want to live like this. So I'm good while it lasted. I hope they got enough false evidence that they made a lot, but I want to go because I want to go and file my lawsuit on Instacart, and I want to file in a black court so that when I get back down there to Atlanta or when I file in Georgia, Georgia already know everything. That's where my master is. So and my master did not want me to be up here any longer than what he intended. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. That's how I know that Bowling Green was going to do what they was going to do anyway, because my master's is in Georgia, and they did not intend for me to come up here and stay. They want me to come back. When you seen that Georgia tag at Kroger today, they think that that's witchcraft to make me go. No, they play games with themselves. That was already the plan. Bowling Green, she coming back there, keep her up there for a little bit, collaborate with us, make her Instacart orders look like drug runs, get some employment, link some identities, link some banks that Ketchup had, and then send her ass back down here. Because we still got wheelchairs and diapers waiting. That's Georgia and Marta. So that was already the plan. That never changed. Just because you moved, they don't care nothing about you moving. That's why they kept the time going back. Because they kept you on Georgia time. We don't care damn about you in Bowling Green. We changed the time wherever you at to make it whatever we need it to be. So it was not that you coming up here and you having a life. They want you to have that illusion because they want people to really think you had a success. You never had a start. It ain't had nothing to do with no racist. This is the Federal Bureau of Investigations and the Internal Revenue Service. You never, ever had a start. Ever. I don't care what they say. They tell lies. They're not going to say what I'm saying because they're not supposed to do what they're doing. So if you're waiting on them to confess, that's never going to happen. So of course they're going to have a narrative, it's not, it wasn't that. It's exactly what I'm saying. That's why neither one will say anything because they know it's the truth. So coming here was never that, ever that. You can be quiet and we might let you stay here 3 months. But whenever they finished with whatever they needed to make, get the prepaid cards that Ketchup had at Kobe, give her that at this bank, get this vehicle that Inez got in California, that vehicle go here. All of these vehicles from 2018 to 2020 is right outside your door. So if you really want to go along and play with that false narrative of, oh, it's the racist that has done this, then why is Inez outside? Why is Vonica outside? Why is uh, the apartments at Garden Walk? Why is that car outside? Why is uh, China and Rod outside? Why is Joe outside? Why are these people outside? All in a line. Because that's not true, what they're saying. The dates tell the story. Rewind the dates, and you will find the profile. And just wait. Wait for it. Rewind to 2020. What were they driving? What did you report to the FBI? What did you take pictures of? What was the license plates? Now, forward to 2021. Who was around? What were they driving? 2022. What are they driving? What are they doing? You see those vehicles around, rolling, with profiles and phone numbers and information. So that's not true that these are racial groups. That's not true. That is not true. This is the law. You're in a setup because you made a complaint. Period. According to Gilbert Sperling III, and I quote verbatim, you can't report anything to the FBI. This is a black attorney that said on record, you cannot emphasize, this is verbatim, the conversation. You cannot. That means no. You cannot make a report to the FBI about themselves. They don't investigate themselves. And they will turn it on you. That is exactly what the man said to me in my face at his office off of Lenox Road in Atlanta, Georgia in 2021. Conversation verbatim in the man's office. You can't tell them. They are not, I already know them. They just not. They're not going to do it. They're not going to open it. I believe you, but they're not going to do it. So what do you advise me to do? You're going to keep it to yourself. If you tell them, they're going to turn it on you. Fast forward, rewind to November of 2020. The end of November, when I got fired from DoorDash at AIQ's house, aka Q, who they got Toya swapping with. They made up another man. So, you got us, and you got us real good. And we gonna turn it. Till you heard it twice in physical people conversations. He said it to me twice, and I told Easter, and Easter said, Chris, that was a spirit. You should have took authority over that in Jesus' name. So what did they do? They turned it. Everything that I said, they turned it. Look at all of the people around. Look at the devices that you're calling that are not the people on the phone. Go on the phones, ringed about 4 or 5 different devices with different voicemails. So you're trying to tell me that the FBI don't know that? Of course they do. So they let it get this way because she's still talking. We don't care about her. She's still talking. Used to tell me in California, if you keep talking, we won't protect you. They used to tell me that all the time in California. No talking, and we won't protect you. Hello, sir. Yeah, that's how I know. That's how I know. Child, when I first got to California, and that child, it was 100 Mexicans out there one day, and I stopped writing in my notebook. All the Mexicans left. Child, I really, you can't tell me. You can't tell me nothing. This stuff is embedded up here. Dates and times just come like that because that's trauma. So when it comes down to, at the end of the day, it wasn't designed for you to come here because you left Georgia and we weren't ready to falsely arrest you yet, or whatever our plans, whether it was a death plot, a wheelchair plot, whatever. You left ahead of our foolishness. So you went up there, so them agencies conspired. She coming back there. Oh yeah? Yeah, she coming back. Don't let her talk to her son. I need you to finish out June of 2023. Where y'all at with this? We got these cars. We need to get her an apartment to look like Cave Mill. Put her as the leaseholder and not take him out of there. And then we got these vehicles that we need to go around there, and then put this email on BGMU, and then put his phone numbers on everything. They collaborate. Then when they get all done, then they just swoosh you out with death threats and make you run. So then you run and you go somewhere else. And then you be somewhere else. Not right now, they're saying come to Augusta. We're not doing any of that. So you just keep moving around. But you don't ever get your life back because he's building a narrative. He's got Toya being me. And you look at it, he's very smart when you look at this. Look at the times. So you left Bowling Green, Kentucky in March of 2020. And then you and Ketchup separated in July, right? In July, all right? You went in December of 2020 and got what? You got a trailer in Augusta, Georgia. Look at how close he is with his dates and times. He's very strategic, I said. So the lady over here works for him. She says, you should stay in the apartment 30 more days and just give yourself some time and I can get a notice. You stay 30 more days. You in November now. When you leave here, it's very close to when you applied for the place to stay in Augusta at the mobile home estates. That's why they already got Toya where? Going to a trailer. Living with a dude. Go on and say, Toya going over there. That's all she want to do is lay up over there in that trailer with that guy. So now they take November, October. See, you met this dude when? October the 13th of 2020. The law sent a IQ. They call him Q. The law sent him. How do I know the law sent him? Because his penis was big. And he had on the shoes that I liked. And I had pulled out those SD cards. See, I knew them. I feel like talking. Hold on. I knew them from, now while I'm on here, they be having my face on somebody's FaceTimes. So AIQ, whenever I used to pull out those, see, I knew certain things that would get, this is how I knew the FBI was involved all along. Because whenever I pulled out those SD cards, they gonna call. Somebody gonna call their phone. I'm gonna get when I used to be doing DoorDash, and they used to have it on pause while I got the screen open while they doing work. I said, okay, then you ain't gonna let me do no DoorDash? Ain't no problem. I know what I can do. Pull out the SD cards, start playing them. Oh, oh, oh! I get calls now. Oh, they don't 13.25 for 2 miles. Oh, I thought so. I get calls now. Oh yeah, they don't want you doing that. Why? Because that's taping you in the car. They consistently taping. They don't want that on the tape. So they gonna, you, God darn it, give her an order. So I get an order. So that night, October the 12th or 13th, 2020, I was at the racetrack out there in McDonough, sitting there. I had went and got me some. I had did DoorDash that day, and I said I'm finna go up here and get my stuff ready together to write the investigator, because I had contacted him. So he says, send me what you got, which was a Fed. I said, all right. So I sent the man the message. The man got I was going out there to see what all I wanted to send, what information was on what cards. Soon as I pulled them out, they sent two. Whoop, came right up. A guy on a bike, and here come AIQ. Whoop, there she go. Get her. Get her out of them SD cards. Because I was finna go with it. They didn't want me to get in there. So he came. The dude came. He gave the dude some money that was homeless. He came up there and bought a box of wine. And he looked good, and he said, you could go back with me. So we went back. We talked or whatever. And we ended up, I think, did we have sex that night or that later that night? We had sex that night, I think. And so I was like, and then he said, you only wanted to talk to me because my thing was big. And I was like, that, because back then the law used to only send me men with big old things. And so I said, not that I have had sex with a lot of men, but that was just the thing. They know she like big penises, so we gonna send her one. So they sent him to get me out of those SD cards. And he lived in a trailer in Atlanta. And that's exactly around the time that it is now. And Toya is at a trailer with Q. And that is the same name. And what they did from that is this to be the same time that you went and got the trailer from Augusta that you never moved into, because they stopped it. They just wanted you to go get it. And then they took it over from there. Once again, you go get it. And they had me telling all my family, I got somewhere to stay. No, you don't. No, you don't. They didn't let me move in. Had me turn the lights on and everything. They ran up the bill to that. And then acted like I was in there. I never stayed one night in there. Why? Because they would never let me have the help to get it move-in ready. Why? Because they didn't want that to happen. They wanted me in that truck so you could get gas. You don't get a place to stay. Now, when it comes down to the apartments, Sharon only had an apartment for about 2 months too. They're not going to let you have a place to stay. even if you are submissive and you do everything they say, they're not. Because wherever your master is, you got to go back. It's still slavery. So it's public trade. So Atlanta masters, you got to come back. The death threats are real, but they're mainly to swoosh you back. So then, because this is different states. This is Michigan, Florida, California, Ohio, Indiana, New York. All these states play here. Did I say Ohio? I did. I think in Louisiana started here. That wasn't here. If it was here the last time, I don't know. Alabama is here. So, and that means simply that they have streets to all of these different states. So, you, and Texas is here. So, you play on those streets that go to those states, and then those states call your phone on that day. And so, this is how you move around electronically. And then once they're done, then they want you to go back, and then they don't care what happens after that. They just contribute whatever they are told to contribute. And then you just go back. And then people say, why do you keep moving around? Because that's what the law wants. Oh, and Tennessee plays here. They got Bertrand in rehab. Because I went to Greenleaf in February of 2020. And they ain't never let me get my medical records from them. Never. I'm going to call tomorrow. First of all, we ain't even going to get an outside line to call them on. You ain't going to never get through to the hospital. Why? They don't want me to get them records at all. Why? Because there's some truth there. And who was that man being the doctor? Charles. Good night. Oh, yeah. Them feds was up there in the hospital. I told y'all that. No white man walked through there with all that money and them shoes on. And I seen that Rolex from across the room. That is not no doc. That is not no maintenance. That is a federal agent in here. Walking through that with his fine self. With that Rolex on. Sir, that is a Rolex. Why are you in here doing stuff they have absolutely no business doing? And was in the hospital and was that man named Charles. Good night. That's why Easter kept saying, and they called me by trying, and then no. That is February of 2020, and I called Easter from there, and Wanda, and Khalid, and Ketchup, and everything. They tell lies. They are remaking events over again. That's when I first found out about Ketchup, and I took them pills, and they remade that over again, and that got Bertrand going down there and changed that to substance abuse. That's why they never let me get the medical records from Valdosta. And that is still slavery, because you're not supposed to be sending people to places and outside of the jurisdiction
I already been said that. Under gracious law, they won't be able to do that no more. Because them agents be putting you in private vans and ambulances and taking you to areas where they want to make false evidence. No, that is under gracious law. You will not be able to do that no more. Whatever happens in that county, it has to stay in that county. If you don't have those resources, then you need to build them. But you're not supposed to be trafficking slaves around. You and this happened in Augusta, Georgia, and they took me all the way to Valdosta. Why are they taking you up there? Because they were swapping, making me near Columbus, Georgia, to make it look like drug runs. And they had that black man in there who actually looked at, he wasn't cute, but it was an older black man, and he said he checked in for gambling. Good night. Gambling and substance abuse. Good night. And they got Bertrand down there in Tennessee acting out them same things. They had that doctor in there talking about Charles. Good night. Good night. Them same names is in this thing right now. Charles. Good night. So I seen that white man in there with that Rolex on, and I said, I forgot he got his watch on. And it's expensive, and he's acting like he's maintenance. Sir, you have on a Rolex with those nice shoes on, and he was fine. Get yourself out of here. Sick of y'all. Just fine. Then some. Oh, gosh. So, and they took my phone. I had an iPhone then. They took my phone. So, they got everybody in a job and in a position to be my life over again. So, what does that look like for you? Let me hear myself talk. Counselor, what does that look like for you? What does that make your life look like? How do you feel? Mm, I feel like God is still with me. I feel like it have to be over one day. Um, I know I'm not gonna die. The Lord said, "I shall live and not die and declare the works of the Lord." I believe it'll be over one day. I know that I have people watching me. I know that. I know that. I'm not. I used to. I know I'm watched now, and I know that people see me because everybody uses the same names. So I know that I'm not like private. I mean, I know that. I'm tired of it. I want to live a normal life. At first, I wanted to fight for my apartment and to, keep trying, but I won too bad. And that don't mean winning don't all the time feel like winning. TD Jakes used to say that. Sometimes a win don't feel like a win. You know, Martin Luther King won the right to vote, but I'm quite sure it didn't feel like a win when he got shot. It was a win. He did it. When Harriet Tubman led the people out of slaves, I'm quite sure it felt like a win when she did it the first time. But eventually, it didn't feel like a win because she was consistently in a state of what they gonna do. I won. I can't lose. But do it feel like a win? No, because you live in a world that is not right, and people don't like you because of the color of your skin, and people don't always do what they say they're going to do. And so that's what was so traumatizing to me about this, that the law don't do what they say they do. They're not that. They're not. It's an illusion. They're not doing anything that they say they're going to do. And that was heartbreaking. It was devastating. It was traumatic. Because I thought that when I went and told the FBI that you'll get accolades and you'll get a prize. There is no prize. And there's no accolades. And we don't appreciate it. How dare you? Tell them my fine, decorated officers. How dare you? So I wasn't greeted with the response that I thought I was going to get. They tore my life up, literally and figuratively. They tore it up. The same way I tear up their cases, they tore my life up, just like that. Dissected it and took it apart. Take your son, put him in jail. Take this one, give him a bunch of kids, mess him up. Ain't no telling what they doing with him right over there. Take her family, scatter them all. They just mess up everything. They did that. They did that. Totally. They will never make me say anything different. That is exactly what they did. Why? Because nobody would believe, how did this girl that had a good-looking husband, a nice place to live, always had nice things, until what? You made a federal complaint and it went immediately. It was not one bit. She's thriving. Nice business, husband, family calling, and got friends, just talking to people. You on the phone all day. It's in the notebook. You on the phone. That's why I kept that notebook. You talking to people all day. Hi girl, nice to talk to you. That federal complaint, that plane is going down. Why? Because you made a federal complaint. That's their response. That's the response. You can't make that up. Had a 4.0 GPA. They have hid every accolade at Capella University. I made the president's list. I made the dean's list. I made every list you can make at Capella University. I made a 100 for my entire quarter in one of my psychology classes. I finished the class with a perfect score of 100 at Capella University. 100 the entire 10 weeks of class. 100. I never got anything less. 100. 100. 100. And you went and did what? Made a federal complaint with a 4.0 GPA. And what did they do? Tore it up. Tore it up. What happened after your life after that? They tore it up. Like I was nothing. July 18, federal complaint. July 18, no more money. That's the end of it. My business, trash can. No more sales. Craigslist ads, blackballed. Phone numbers, blackballed. Here they come. That's what they did. There's no lie to that. That's what they did. That was a fact. What was your income before that complaint? My bills was $4,520 a month. Federal complaint, and your income is zero. 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 $0 and 0 cents. That's not a lie. You can't make that up. That's written down in my notebook. How much did you make after that? $0. It went down significantly. We had to move. That's what happened. And everything was bad from there. And catch up changed. And that's how that went. And then I introduced him to Nakia Prowell, break the bond check, and then they took your husband. And then they took your dog. And they was taking all this. Why? Because they wanted it to look like you had a motive to have a nervous breakdown. Anything that we can do to create the illusion that you forgot. What are they wanting you to forget? Taxes, income, bank accounts, drugs. So they came up with an elaborate lie. She's had a nervous breakdown and she's recalling events, and she is he. So he came up with the riddle. She is he. So every time she says he did it, it's her. And this is why you have the faggots invented that they made. And then, once he created the homosexuals, then he created the HIV and AIDS plot. Why did he do that? Because that's what they threatened me with first. We're going to give you AIDS for everything that you said. Then when I was still talking, it went to death. Then it went to cancer. Then it went to prostate cancer. Then it went to just sarcoidosis of the brain. Then it went to Alzheimer's. But they took everything in my journal. All of those are things that I wrote about, that I said God wanted to help, that we would get cures for, and they didn't like that. So everything that I said, they turned it. And everything that I said that was good, they made me a witch. That's why every place you live, notice there are consistent evil factors in the immediate circumference of where you live or reside. That's not a coincidence. That's the law. Black cats, a witchery, Halloween stuff, spiders, that's them. Everywhere you go, they do it. And it was no, okay, I won't do it. It wasn't that. Once you're in it, you're in it. Once they take it apart, they take it apart. And they took it apart right here in Bowling Green. This is where it started. I made the complaint and I came to North Carolina. We was there for about 2-3 weeks. Went to Portland, Tennessee, and came to Bowling Green. We went right down to 925 Mel Browning, and they was right there with that black lady in that black Chrysler, and the law was what? Maintenance. And the white lady that was the handicap, not handicap, the white lady that was the maid, the cleaning housekeeper, and they was the maintenance, and they was the Mexican girl, and they was that black lady that drove that black Chrysler. And they was all set up throughout 925 Mel Browning Lane in 2018. Then we moved to the apartments at 2370 Cave Mill Station, Unit 310, and the law took over right there. And they was all around in there. So they just do whatever they want to do. And it got bad. The gas was here. It started here, right there at 2370 Cave Mill. I used to say the same thing. And the blood out of the hip, it was Harvard then. So, because apparently, so whatever poison that you get, it does has the same effects on a dog. And whenever I used to leave Harvard home by myself, I used to come back and he would have blood out in his stool. And I say, they done came in here and I can't leave my dog no more. So, they was telling Catch Up that he had to work at night. And so that left me home, and they used to play in the backyard of that making noise. So Harvard would keep barking, and I would be kind of scared, you know. And they put the big old badge all over the TV. They just slammed it using the same effects of the iPhone. They slammed it. That's what I call a slap. And so I was looking at the TV, and they just and the big thing just appeared on the TV, and I was like, and I just turned it off. They put it all over the TV. It was nothing there but just a big old badge. They did that. They turned the Wi-Fi off, so then when you get your phone and turn it off and turn it back on, they overlaid the name. We outside. I'm not gay. I'm outside. And just imagine somebody doing that, and you in there by yourself, and they done made your husband leave, and you in there, and they doing that, and you in there by yourself, and Harvard keep barking, and they done turn the Wi-Fi off, and overlaid it, so when you look and try to connect again, and they say I'm outside. I wrote everybody in the world here because it had just started. So I didn't know what in the world was going on. I wrote everybody, DCI, IRS, FBI, the Attorney General. I went to see 1, 2, 3, 4 attorneys here. 4 in Bowling Green, Kentucky. If I was to go see that man downtown and tell him, do you remember me when I came in here to see you and I told you this, and your advice to me was to don't record, just get you a disposable camera? I'm that same lady. And do you have any idea of what these people have done to me? I have all the names of the people that I went to see, that I told, and they said, this is the most illegal thing I've ever heard. But it's true. And they knew that what I was saying, because that man told me, if I didn't believe you, if I didn't know, I would think you're nuts. They're going to make you nuts. That's what the man told me, the white man here in Bowling Green. The attorney said it. They're going to make you nuts. You're going to have to take pictures with a disposable camera. Nobody's going to believe this if you don't. And document date and times. And that's why I write. The Lord told me the same thing. I started writing. I went to Chestnut Park. I went to Family Works and told her. I drew a picture. Drew it. They're here, 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 here. And this is why I feel like I was taking all of those bags with me to every place we went. We go in Walmart. I'm going in there with 5 book bags. Then leaving them behind the seat with locks and bolts on them. The doors is bolted, tied with ties. And I'm saying, how is these people getting in here? Ketchup is giving them a key. They work here. They wanted me out of the house every Sunday. They used Gwanda. You need to go to church with your husband. Stop being home, being rebellious. You need to get out of the house. Go be with. No, 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 no. They had to catch up to Clarksville because they wanted to make evidence in Tennessee, and they needed us out of the house for at least 6 hours because they was coming in there with furniture, and I would see the slit marks on the floor. So I said, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start vacuuming and sweeping so I could see what is going on. And exactly, that is what it was. They would come in there and be acting like I'm selling furniture and was selling furniture right next door. I woke up, you'd be asleep, and I woke up and seen somebody moving that mattress. And I said, I bet you they selling furniture. And they had a table on Craigslist, and the lady name was Crystal. Good night. They were selling furniture. And that lady came and sat by me at the Red Lobster right up there. That white lady came in there and sat down. And I said, I told East, I said, the lady didn't ask me at all, East, was anybody sitting there? She just came and sat down because she already knew. And she said, you need to go back to selling furniture. They tell you what they want you to do now. They tell you. You ain't got no choice. You ain't got no choice. Like that person keep wooing me to come up there to Ohio, Cincinnati. They keep messaging. That's also where they working at. You ain't got no choice. You can stay there all you want to. You ain't got no choice. Them people gonna do what they. If you don't do it, they gonna bring it around you. You could go willingly, or we'll bring it to you. I sat down at 2370 Cave Mill Station, Unit 310. You're not gonna go to Ohio? Give me 4 cars with Ohio tags and put them right there. Give me them 4 units right there on the side and stretch them out. Park them outside. You can put it in a BMW. Give me that orange Camaro. Give me another SUV and put them right there. You don't want to go? Okay, don't worry about it. You ain't gonna go to New York either? Let me get a New York tag. That green Honda CRV. Park it on this side. Put a Michigan tag right in the front. And then put one again on the other side. You ain't gonna drive the F-150? Don't worry about it. Let me get the F-150 128 ZMC. Was it 128 CMC? It was 128 ZCM or Z. They parked a brand spanking new F-150 in front of my door. Them people crazy. You know how bold that is? That you got an apartment and they come, your condo, a townhouse, and them people park, they gon', you gon' make it mine? Parked it with the brand new tag on it, and then had Ketchup's mama say, that's the link. Gwanda said, Ketchup's mama said, Curtis got a brand new truck. And Gwanda said her boyfriend got a brand new truck. That's it. That's it. Oh my, that's it. That's the truck. And I took a picture of it and I reported it to the FBI and I said, and I put the camera. I went to buy a camera. Because they would never move it. It would only move when I was asleep. And I said, I told Ketchup, I don't want that truck in front of this house. And Ketchup said, baby, it's okay, we can't, I'm finna go get a camera and I'm finna put it on this truck. When I put it on that truck, they had a white man come move the truck, but the white man came from between the buildings and he took the truck away and it never came back. But the tag was 128. I'm quite sure it was ZMC. It was a brand new tag at first, and then they put 128. I think it was ZMC, but I wrote it down. It's in my notebook. It was a brand new F-150. And I said, these people are nuts. They put that brand new car in the front of this house. And that's the same brand new car that Gwanda said her boyfriend got, and that Ketchup's mama said Curtis got. That's exactly what that was. And then that same F-150 used to be over there as a painter, and the tag was 777YMM. And that stands for You're Molesting Me. And that's why they made Ketchup young and made me old. That's exactly what they did. It's exactly what they did. That's why the FBI ain't acknowledging my name. Because they said they changed my age and changed Ketchup's too. And because the molestation was a retaliatory charge. That's just a general, when you file a complaint on them, if they don't have nothing that you did, they're going to come with something to sabotage your character. So you going to have a cloud over your life for the rest of your life, and people ain't going to want you nowhere. So that's just general. If they can't find nothing, then you just do retaliation and do child molestation. And so that make people say, ugh. So men don't like you, nobody like you, because they gonna say, ugh, that's what y'all investigating her for? Ugh. So nobody wants you around. And then they make it look like that's why you all private, because like they be making that profile. See, people, what they make, they know certain people that do certain crimes live certain ways. So pedophiles and all them, those people generally are aloof, alone. Like you can, just like people that sell drugs, they're out and about. A lot of calls, moving around, hard to sit still, light to drive, fast paced, this, that, another. So different crimes call for different profiles. So they are the FBI. They know in general what this looked like. So they make those profiles in your life. So when they came up with it, she made the complaint. All right, cool. It was initially when I was here before, it was initially drugs, Mexicans, and money laundering. That's what, and fraud, all things insurance fraud. It was that. But in 2020, when the man said, you got me real good, I'm gonna turn it, he made it into just whatever. He went all in. He took the gloves off. He went all in with it because he just was just pissed that she done tore this up like this. So it was still trying to save that, but he went all in and got medical and got dirty just to let me see how much he could do. And so it went all the way live from there. And then when I got in California, that's when it was death, and they started with the cancer plot. And then that's when I woke up with the dream. And then that's when they was like, that's when Granddaddy was like, no, I see God. And then at the same time, the FBI has always said that they are not responsible for this. I will gladly say that in my documentary disclosure. I will put that up on the screen. The FBI has denied all allegations. But again, I would say to him, if I could see him, I would say, but you have accumulated quite a bit of files, correct? Okay. So that means you had to be observing a lot. I rest my case, and you ain't did nothing. I don't look. Do I look like I'm living the best life? So since he's saying that it ain't him, and it's a racist organization here, then that means when I go back to Atlanta, then all the magic gonna be back on. I doubt that very seriously. As soon as I get there, Marta is going to be at the closest point to that expressway to say, "Welcome home, bitch." Marta is going to be there as soon as I touch down. But it'll be okay because I probably miss seeing them by then. But that's the truth. When I lived over there, that truck was outside. Going back to that, they parked that outside. They had the BMW and they had the Charger, and that man had a boat, and they had the that Chinese person was living next door, and the white man across the street that was always mean, and they was also around the corner, and then they was the police lived on the corner, and then it was the going around. It was that man that drove that Navigator, that black man. Then it was Zeta Lane. Then it was the man that ran the leasing office that drove the black Challenger that moved to Atlanta. Then it was the Mexican girl in the office named Estes. Then it was the maintenance that drove the white truck. They just did whatever they wanted to do. I was completely miserable there. We moved in and I hated every single day of it. In fact, that's why the lease was let out. They didn't want to renew the lease. They had put all them holes in the ceiling so all them wires can vent. They had did that. They had put all those bugs in there. They had them same bugs from Enemy of the State in that apartment right over there at 2370 Cave Mill Station Boulevard in that attic. Right over there. And I seen that and said, and nobody can't tell you why this stuff is here. Child, please. And you be looking for a civil rights attorney, and I went and told them they had came in the apartment without notice. They were in there. Me and Ketchup pulled up on October the 18th, 2025, and they was coming out the door. Why are y'all in our apartment? Without saying anything. And they said they came in there to fix the tile. No, you did not. You came in there because that wire was making noise, and me and Ketchup, Corey, and Nico laughed at it. I walked by and it was in the AC. It was in the AC unit. And whatever it was, your phone, it makes a noise. And they didn't have it vented right. So it was making noise. And so when you walk by and say, ooh, ooh, and it was making a loud noise. So they heard that. And the next day, when me and Ketchup went out, they came in there to fix it and lied to my they was the Tylers. No, they was not. No, they was not. That was the first complaint. Then the second time was when that black man with that Navigator came out of there. I called him again, and he left the porch light on. And he had them blue gloves on, and he was walking from the side of the building. That was the second complaint. The third one was when they came in there when we went to church. The fourth one was when they was in the backyard. They just was doing stuff over and over again. The entire time, the entire lease from October to October, was pure hell. The worst experience of my entire life. I hate it here. I'm not decorating. I ain't doing nothing. Just like I feel here. Every single day, they harassed. I don't care what you buy. That's what they taught me a lesson. I don't care what you go out and buy. We get in anything we want to get in. There's nothing you can buy. Nothing in the store that you can buy to keep them out of anything. It is nothing that you can buy. Not one thing to keep yourself safe from them. Nothing. Nothing. I went in the store, bought a camera. We'll turn it off. Went and bought Arlo from AT&T. We'll turn it off. I went and bought the Night Owl from Lowe's. We'll turn it off. I went and bought the things to go on the back door. Ketchup opened the window and let them in. I went and bought the lock to go on the door. We'll unscrew it. I'm not going to play these games with them. I already done did that before. They ones that taught me that. It's nothing you can buy. They will take the window out if they need to come in there. And that window was on the ground. I came home from church and the Lord told me to check it and it was open. I'm not going to play those games with them this time. I already did it. I'm not an amateur. I already know what they can do. I already know what they will do. So I'm not going to play those games with them. I'm not going to get back into, I'm going to buy this and put this. I ain't going to do all of that. I already know them. I already know what they'll do. I ain't doing all of that. I'm not doing all of that with them. I ain't going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I already been there. I already done that. I know what they'll do. I done been in that situation too many times. They do whatever they want to do. And they coming in to do whatever. Bring phones, take pictures, do whatever. They did it over there and made my life miserable for an entire year. And that same man, Scott, was the man at AT&T that is in my notebook that I called and reported. Scott and Reggie, Tanya and Chris. Those four at AT&T. Verizon was the white boy, Matthew. Did what? Matthew is up there at racetrack. They play games. They play games. Like, I'm not going to remember these people, and you can't make this stuff up. What did you say at Verizon with 615-202-5271? What was the thing? That they took the SIM card. The man said he was giving me a free SIM card. They put the SIM card in the phone from another service they already had. They just give you SIM cards just like used debit cards. That's what the whole plan was. Then we mess your mind up with gas. And then we win. They didn't care that it was false. MX plus Y equals B. What can we do to make the equation true? We give you old stuff. We've already had it. We went to China with that. We went to everywhere these people say they traveling. That's where that SIM card has been. Africa. Easter say she went to New York. You're traveling with these artificial SIMs. And they come back on these paid vacations that the law paid for. They paid for them to go. Would you like to go take pictures for us? For your sister? Where would you? We need you to go to New York. Would you go up there for us? Just take the phone and hold it. That's all you need to do. And we'll tell you the places where you need to go. And you just hold the phone for us. We'll pay for you, all expenses paid. Go and enjoy yourself. That's what it is. Everybody, when this happened in 2020, everybody not taking vacations. Why everybody taking vacations? Because they were getting money from Curtis Ketchup. And they did not think that this would get to where it has gotten. They did not think that. So he was giving them stimulus checks. I cannot lie and make this up. Go look at the bank accounts. Everybody that you talk to, everybody, look and see the direct deposits. Look and see. It's not a lie. And then people will come and say, I got a stimulus check today. Did you get one? It's not a stimulus check. You're getting money because you're carrying devices and setting me up. And they're giving you money and making it look like it's from that. That's what it is. That's why everybody got a boyfriend named Curtis. I bet you do. I bet you do. Bet you do. And old SIM cards. You go in the store. Why the SIM card already in the phone? Because that phone is free because it's one they already had. Come get your phone. We already been out of town with it. We already had all kind of Mexicans with it. And you be thinking that phone new. That junk ain't new. T-Mobile tells so many doggone lies. And just gotta put a phone number on the internet. You ain't got to put no phone number on no internet. That is a phone. So the same phone number that's on that internet in the room, that's why T-Mobile around the corner tonight. We had to give you a new account. We couldn't reactivate it. You a liar. You couldn't reactivate it because that phone number, it was used and the law wouldn't let you bring that phone number up here because the time periods is swapped. You a liar. I work for the FBI. Who you think you lying to? Liar. They tell lies. We couldn't activate it. You a liar. You are a liar from the pits of hell. You did not activate that phone number because it couldn't interchange with the dates and times that they staging up here. So if you put that number back in rotation, it would mess up all the evidence that they made in Atlanta at Joe's house, and that profile ain't up here because it hadn't been invented yet. That's why you couldn't put the number there. Who you think you talking to? I ain't no amateur. You didn't put it in place because Joe's house wasn't invented yet. So you couldn't put Anthony in rotation if Anthony ain't invented up here yet. We're redoing 2018 to 2020. So that's why they couldn't put the one in rotation. But then they gave that box to a Mexican. Good night. I'm just tired of them. I just had an alert on this phone and then opened it and now I don't. But you be having that because you be getting alerts to people's phones that ain't yours. That's why Guandanum phone is every time you call, it is different. The voicemail is because them different devices call. So when we lived up here, and we had to move, they wouldn't renew the lease, but we had a good rate. We didn't have we owe no money. We had got our refund back, and then and that's when she wrote nasty stuff to me. We had fleas, and then I went and got Harvard checked and had The doctor say Harvard ain't have no fleas, no nothing. So she just was being evil. So it was nothing going on in the apartment. So after that, we moved out. It was clean. Everything was done. Then from there, we moved over there to 249 Greenwood Lane, apartment 57. And the law they didn't aggravate it so bad over there because they had started the takedown. So they didn't aggravate that bad. They didn't do that bad there. It wasn't that miserable. I was cooking and talking on the phone and happy. I had put a little bit of furniture in it. It was somewhat like this sectional, but it was bigger. And I had Harvard, and I was happy, happier. I was wearing a little makeup and taking baths and talking on the phone and all of that. I was better than 2370 Cave Mill. And so they had FedEx there. The boy, it was a black boy, and he drove the trucks, and he's on those cameras on that Samsung blue camera that I was recording on. He on that. And the man that drive that blue Chevrolet, blue Trailblazer, he was out there every day. And Progressive was out there every other day. I called and made complaints. The man used to come and sit outside and hop on. He was there. And the man in the little black car. But the man in the little black car was never doing anything. I don't know what his plan was. I think the man in the little black car was just trying to see what in the world is this. Because he used to just come and sit. And he used to have one arm just hanging out the window. And he would just be sitting there, and he would just be listening. And then he would stay there for about an hour, and then he'll pull off, and then he might come back, and then he'll just sit there, and then he'll pull off. And he used to come about 3 times a week. And then the Progressive used to come about every day, and they used to come only before 5. And then and they used to be changing insurance payments. Some payments would say home, and some payments would say online. I don't know what home is. And then, but we didn't have Progressive. It was that man Bob Shelton or whatever it was. And so I don't know what Progressive was doing there. I think we had them at some point, maybe, but they used to come all the time. And I had called Progressive, so we did have them, or if I had called them to make a complaint, but it was recorded too. And the white man used to come in a 4-door white SUV, and he used to come and sit outside directly in the front of the house, and just used to stare up there. And I used to say, this is just so crazy. And I took a picture of him. Then I had called the police on him one time. And so I think they had told him, whoever he was working for, they told him to start going across the street and sit. So then he used to just go across the street and sit. Then the man used to come in the Buick Lucerne. Then it was the North Carolina white truck like Joe. Then it was 202 ZME. Then it was the orange Dodge Ram truck. Then it was the police all the way on the end. Then it was the man in the Hummer. Then it was the Honda CRV is real big. It's multiple profiles to the Honda CRV. And then they had started with the takedown at this time. So, but it was much better. I was much better, much happier with Ketchup and with our life. And so our bills was always good. And so we weren't in any financial issues. and so that lasted from October to January, and then so we moved in October, so I had like 3 months of being okay, and then in December, that's when they started to take down, and that's when it started. I mean, it was rocky, but I wasn't as bad as 2370. I didn't have the same complaints. The police wasn't coming over there saying, "Oh, somebody had been in here." They weren't doing that. So um, I went to uh, over there and went over there and I catch up, wanted to start going down to that gym, be back, BAC. And he started to buy new shirts and stuff going to the gym. And I seen him, he met somebody up there in a new Range Rover. And then that's when I asked him, was he having somebody else? And then that's when he started disappearing. And then when I caught him with Nakaya Powell, and he left they staged a fight, a real big fight on December 31st at the church down there in Tennessee. They staged a real big fight. And when they staged the fight, that's when he left. They pulled him out on beginning of January 2020. And they really wasn't going to bring him back in. They wasn't. But when that happened with me going to Greenleaf, they put him back in. But he really wasn't in. They just wanted him to stay to keep the thing balanced. But once I had did it again, the white man was like, okay, well, good. Then we won't worry about it no more. Hopefully it works the next time. And so that was it. They cared the first time, but the second time they didn't. So they put him back in, and then once they put him back in, then once they put him back in, then they pretty much just left it. You know, they left it. And his job then was to stay in between the two places, me and Nakaya Powell, to link both places. Her with me with her, me with him with me. And I really wanted him back. I really did. I wanted him back so bad. And they took him. They took him to hurt me because I kept talking and kept making complaints. And so even though I was living over there, I was still recording, and they didn't want me doing any of that. And so they would get mad. And so they took him. It just took him. And that was it. And the man, they didn't care. So I was hurt. And they sent Sharon in. And I didn't want to be bothered with all of that. I knew she worked for them. And then Nico came in. Nico stole my SIM card. And I just didn't want to be dealing with all of that. And so they finally let him come back. And because I had told him, if y'all let him come back, I will go back to Atlanta and sell furniture. I will go back. I just wanted him back. And they sent him back. He came right back. He came right back. I said, I will go sell furniture, and I will be quiet, and I will go back to Atlanta and sell furniture. And they sent him right back. He came right back. Right back. And it seemed like it was going to be all right. We went to Atlanta. That's where they wanted me to go, and they wanted me to go back. And well, we really wasn't in Atlanta, but I just told them I would go back and sell furniture because we came from Columbia, South Carolina, but they wanted us to go to Atlanta. So I just said I will go wherever. I'll go back and sell furniture if you send them back. So they staged it in Georgia. I didn't say Georgia. I said I'll sell furniture again because they wanted me to sell furniture because that was the link to the drugs, the imaginary drugs you selling. So I went into that and said I will go, and they sent him right back, express. And he came, and I was so happy. And then he told me we was gonna get married again, and that we was gonna be happy, and it was all a lie. And they wanted it to look like they was fixing up his profile then, because they didn't want him to look like a cheater. They wanted Ketchup to look like the perfect husband, and he married this overbearing cougar monster, and she controlling this poor little baby. So they sent him back, and then when they sent him back, um, he gave me the best sex of my life on February the 7th, 2020. I don't know what was going on that night, but whatever he was thinking about, or whatever was on his mind, I had really good sex with him that night. It was one of the most memorable occasions. And so we came back, we had sex, and then after that and we went to Atlanta. And then when we got to Atlanta agents took over, and all of that was cut out. They told him, stop having sex with her like you making love, and we need you to look like you fucking her. Not none of that kissing. They told him to stop all of that. And it was like turn the TV in the front of y'all every time y'all have sex, and we need you to straight be just no emotions, attachment. They was breaking him out. They was changing him. They was grooming him to come out. You know, taking his heart and his feelings out of it. They was training him, making him into a monster for what he had to do. They was helping him, and they was brainwashing him at the same time. I felt so sorry for him. I never hated him. And I was angry when he left and he wasn't coming back, but I saw what they did to him emotionally, and I knew that he was sorry. I knew that he was. And I knew that he did not want to do it, and I knew that he didn't have a choice. I knew that. And I would rather, if I had to do it all over again, I would rather it be me than him. I still would. I would rather it be me any day than him. I would do this all over again to save him. I wouldn't think nothing about it. Why? Because my love for him was real. Even if his wasn't for me, mine's was. And I saw what they did to him, and I wouldn't wish that on nobody, because I know that that's something that he lived with. They act like he just living his best life. I don't believe it. They told me they cloned him too. In 2023 at Joe's house, one of the scouts said it. And so I didn't, I didn't, I didn't think that, I didn't think that I wasn't mad at him. I saw in June of 2020 when he cried when he went to Walmart in Fayetteville, and that white man had told him to do something. Whatever white man was running it at that time, I think it was that white man that was at Goodwill and McFarland Parkway in April of 2021. Cause that monster, what I'm trying to tell you, now that white man right there, if he would have said you're dead, I probably would have not have been talking anymore. That probably would have worked. That one, that was at McFarland Parkway. Oh my God, I saw him, and it was nothing like what I have ever imagined. I've always imagined when I finally saw my master that I would probably be a little bit horny, a little bit angry, a little bit. It was nothing like I thought. I had asked God, I said, let me see him. Please let me see him. And he came. He came. His ego made him come. And God made him come. And he came. He came to 375 McFarland Parkway. And I saw him. Oh my God. I see him. And that man, I see him. And that man looked like Lucifer. Like to see him in a government vehicle that it wasn't government tags. I knew him. Only I knew him. And God knew him. And he knew him. But nobody else knew who he was. And he came. I asked God, please let me see him. And he came. His ego brought him. Like that, I want to see if she'll know me when I come. Yes. Yes. And he came, and he was so rich. And you could just see all the power just coming out of his pores. He is so corrupt and so evil. And when he came, he had the little, I ain't gonna give no identifying features, but I'm thinking about it. He came and he was hollering his tail off at Goodwill because they had messed up that day. And he was mad. He was, and all you seen was him doing this. And when he seen me just staring at him, he let them dark windows up in my face. And I just looked. I was in awe. That's him. That's him. That's the man that everybody is scared. They are terrified of him. When he talked in Georgia, all those men say, yes, sir. They sit up when he called on the phone. When he used to call Q on the phone to tell him to get me out of the apartment and he was ready for me to go, they sit up. That boy used to be talking all that trash. Man used to be talking all that trash. That white man calling that phone. That boy, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I said, he got some power. Look how Ketchup, him, Cassius, look how they act when that man on the phone. Child, that man got on that phone. I seen him. I said, that ain't nothing like the reaction I thought I would have. I was not horny at all. Like seeing him, I didn't have no emotion, no horniness, no hatred, no, it was, that's him. That's him. God brought him to me. I asked God to let me see him, and he answered my prayer. That man came up there. I said, "Oh my God, that's him." He came to 375 McFarland Parkway, the Goodwill, out there off the 400, and they was mad. He was mad, and Ketchup cried in June of 2016, and he cried. No, June of 2020, when he came back, June the 16th. He cried when I got that first income tax stimulus check for 2,500. Whatever he made Ketchup do in Walmart in Atlanta, Georgia, Ketchup didn't want to, and Ketchup came out of there crying. And I said, "What's wrong?" I said, "You don't want to do it, do you?" And he said, "No." And whatever he said, why he said that phone rung. That phone rung. And whatever he told Ketchup in that phone, Ketchup had to get it together. You mess this up if you want to, and end up saying the wrong thing out your mouth. And when Ketchup said no, that phone rang. They did not want Ketchup. Ketchup was gonna spill it, but he had to hold himself together. And I just knew it. I knew he didn't want to do what he was doing to me. And so I just made it easy for him until I couldn't take it no more. By the time they had pulled him out in July, it was like he had sticker bushes on him. That's how I felt. That I loved him, but he was like a sticker bush. Every time you touch him, you're gonna get stuck. And they was doing that. They was trying to make me hate him, so that you can, because I was making myself hold on to him, and they was telling me, "You finna let him go." They told me back then, "Accept it." That's what they said over and over again. "Accept it. We taking him. Accept it." That's what they said. Accept it. And so they was making him do stuff to make me want to get out from around him. Putting the receipts in my purse, making me look like I was crazy, taking pictures of me when I was asleep, sliding my wig off in the back, saying that I was forgetting stuff that I wasn't, making him go in the store and meet them. Once I seen all of that, I couldn't. And when I touched him the last time, right before we separated, he was cold as ice. Cold. Cold. I touched him in the truck and he was cold. And the Lord taught me, let him go. Let him go. Because what you holding on to ain't your husband no more. And I cried so hard. I loved him. I loved the thought of him. The dream that they sold me. I asked for him and they sent him. I said I wanted exactly how I described him in that Asus computer I used to have. They sent him. The description in that email and that to myself from The Secret is exactly how you look. That's how you know they sent him. I did The Secret in 2012, and I said, once they moved out Tony, I said, I ain't gonna have sex with nobody else. I'm gonna wait. I waited, and he came. And when he came, he was exactly the description that I had wrote. And I said, that's him. And I loved him. And they took him. And so I just want the best for him. I want God to give him peace. And I don't want them to do him like this at all because they told me in March of 2021 that man that used to do the African colors and sell the bracelets and stuff at McDonough Flea Market, at Petler's Flea Market, they told me he gonna have his day. And I said, oh, Jesus, don't let them do him like they did me, Lord. I forgive him. I don't want nobody to go through what they did to me. Nobody. 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 I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy for somebody to do you like this and alienate you and take your kids and your grandkids and make you just live in torture every day because you said something. And Ketchup is not like me. He's everything that I am not. He will never be combative. They would do whatever they doing to him and he would never say nothing. He would totally take it and wouldn't say a word. And I am not like that. Ketchup would never do this.